So I wanted to try and make this dish that I saw on Chelsea May Cullen's channel, and it is more of a weekend treat. As I said in my last video, I do a lot of meal prep and planning for the week for my work week lunches, but I am a little bit more flexible on the weekends, and I do like to treat myself and put a little more effort into some more special and yummy dishes. I do like to keep it pretty simple during the week. I don't like to put a lot of time and effort in if I don't have to, so I do try and eat repetitively and simply, just so that I always have food there and I'm not taking too long to make food, especially if I'm really hungry at the end of the day. So this is what I bought today at shopping. I already had these mushrooms. I bought some beautiful red Roma tomatoes, some spinach, a block of tofu, and some baked beans. Now, on this plant-based diet, it is okay to have a little bit of sugar or salt. It's more the oils that is not going to help me with my weight loss. So I'm going to create almost like a breakfasty meal, and it is afternoon. I had my breakfast quite late today, as it was the weekend, and so I'm having quite a late lunch. So I'm going to actually cut these tomatoes and mushrooms up and roast them in the oven, and I'm going to also make some baked potatoes in the air fryer and make a tofu scramble and have some baked beans on the side. So I've just made enough for myself and my husband, and I've just put them on a baking tray with some baking paper, and I'm going to add some garlic salt. I love garlic salt, just all over. And pop it into the oven. There. So while those are in the oven, I have cut up some red potatoes. This is enough for me, my husband, and my youngest child, because he has asked for some baked potatoes in the air fryer. And so I'm going to pre-boil those. You can also pre-steam them, but I'm going to pre-boil them to get them a little bit tender before they go into the air fryer. So while some of that is cooking and prepping, I just want to talk about the difference in eating in the house between myself and my other family members. So my children aren't vegan. My husband isn't technically vegan, but he does eat the same meals that I eat. He does still eat meat and dairy at times though. So why don't I make my children eat the way I eat? Well, it's not as easy as you might think. If I had have discovered this way of eating when they were babies, I probably would have raised them this way. I can't really know for sure, but I definitely would have served them whatever I was eating, even if I added a little bit of meat or dairy here and there. But that was not the case. I didn't know anything about this when my children were born. We ate a lot of takeouts, and they just sort of grew to develop their own tastes and their own eating. So I would feel like it would be not good if I suddenly took out all the junk food in the house and all of the meat and the dairy and everything and said to my kids, you can only snack on fruit, you need to learn to eat tofu, you can't have your salami and your toasted cheese sandwiches. That would be absolutely disastrous. And I know that some other plant-based influencers have done this and they are successful, and good on them. If that works for their family, that's great, but that actually would not work for my family, because As unschoolers, I have taught my children to listen to their own bodies and eat what feels good to them. And I'm not about to change my parenting style to start forcing them to eat just because I believe that it's healthy. Being a vegan for me is about my own personal journey and my own health. I'm not about to go and preach to my children or anybody that they need to convert to this way of eating, because it's not my job and it's not really my business to tell other people what to eat. That includes my children. Now, yes, I do encourage it though. So often my children will see what I'm eating and it will really make them hungry and they'll want to try it. So for example, I've always peeled their potatoes and I've always cooked them the same way, except I've added oil to theirs because that's just how they've liked it. But they have seen me with a bowl of potatoes and said, can I have one skin on, cooked with no oil, air fried in some garlic, salt and herbs, and they have loved it and then asked for me to make some for them. So that's what my youngest son is having now, because he doesn't even know, he knows there's no oil, and I don't trick my kids. I don't sneak them foods and I don't give them something that they aren't aware of. I always be very honest. So I say, do you want to try this? It's the same, but it's just got no oil. Are you sure you're going to like it? Do you want to try it? And they will often really like it. So often that's how I get my children to become healthier. And this isn't always an easy journey. I can tell you that I do struggle a lot as a parent with some of my children's food choices. And yes, it is my job as their parent to try and keep them healthy as much as I can. And this isn't always easy because I do have demanding children, and sometimes they really want takeaways, and I am a bit soft and I give in a lot. But I'm still learning and I'm still on a journey of trying to finding a balance between protecting them and teaching them and encouraging them to be healthy without being in that teacher role and telling them what to do with their bodies. So it is still a learning journey for me. It's all an experiment. Yes, I can try to encourage them to try new things. I can eat what I'm eating in front of them and hope that they will be inspired to try it. And this has been what's happening. But ultimately, I can't actually be in charge of their bodies and force them to eat, or I can't just drastically remove things from their diet. I have started to remove some things like oil in cooking. I don't always I don't fry their mince in oil anymore, and I don't, like I said, I don't need to toss their baked potatoes in oil anymore. So there are little changes that I'm slowly making over time. I do talk to my kids and I do ask them about how they feel about what they're eating and how their bodies feel, and would they like to feel better and eat better. And I do explain that some foods are harmful, like takeaways, especially something like KFC, which my children love to eat, but it does sometimes have a behavioral effect, particularly on one of my children. And pointing this out and saying, do you notice what this is doing to your body? Without being, and I'm not perfect, sometimes I lose my patience and get really mad, but it's mostly about discussing and talking and pointing out, do you see how you feel when you eat this? And how do you feel when you eat that? So one of my children in particular, I have been very worried and stressed and gone down that road of thinking that I'm a bad parent because he's a little overweight and he really craves not good foods. But he has started trying things that I've been eating, like banana smoothies with cocoa powder and some maple syrup and vanilla, and he just loves those. So it's about incorporating things. It's about demonstrating for me and just saying, hey, this is going to make you feel fuller because it's full of nutrition and good things, and it's going to be satisfying and it will taste just as sweet. Give it a try. And that's really all that I can do to encourage my children to be healthy at this point. So potatoes are pre-boiled, and I've just put some garlic salt in there, and I'm going to add a little bit of mixed herbs. Shake it around. Actually, I'll give it a stir with a spoon. Just to get. And over here into the air fryer. Minutes at 200 degrees. My air fryer needs a clean. So while that's happening, I have a half a block of extra firm tofu, which should be enough for me and my husband, and I'm just going to break this up. So it's going to be like a tofu scramble, and as I said, I got this recipe off Chelsea May's YouTube channel. I will link her channel below. But so this is the first time I'm actually, like, I've made tofu scramble before, but it was really disgusting because I put too much veggie stock in there. Like, I accidentally read the instructions wrong and doubled, like, it was so salty I actually couldn't eat it, and I had to throw it away and eat something else. So I'm just going to do that. Wash my hands. Okay, I have some turmeric to pop in here. Some veggie stock powder. Now I am just going to put a little bit in because I do not want it to be very salty. I actually don't have a lot of salt in my diet apart from the garlic salt, and I add a bit of salt to taste, and I'm going to add some nutritional yeast. I'm going to cook this. So I've added no oil or anything like that. I may add a little bit of water. I check my tomatoes and mushrooms. They could go a little bit longer. Have my baked beans heating up. So I am just going to add a little bit of almond milk to this, just to make it nice and moist. And some spinach, because I love adding spinach to everything. Going to check the potatoes. Give them a shake. Pop them back in for a bit longer. So my tomatoes and mushrooms are ready. Baked beans are heated. And tofu is cooked. The spinach. Just waiting on our potatoes. Check these potatoes. So they're looking pretty good. So this is what my son is having, just a plate of potatoes with some salt, and he has asked to have butter on it. And as I said, I'm not going to say no, because if that's what he likes to have, at least he's getting a plate of nutritional vegetables. I am grateful that my kids love potatoes because they are one of the best foods to eat. And this is mine and my husband's. Look at this goodness. So this is all whole food, plant-based. There is no oil in here. And when I saw the original recipe from Chelsea May, she did add a bit of avocado, but I'm not going to do that because I'm actually having homemade pizza for dinner tonight, which I will be putting avocado on. So I'm going to not have too much fats today. Some days I do have fats with every meal, but as I said, I don't need to. This is already a huge plate of food, and it's all quite low in calories. So I'm going to enjoy. Beautiful.